Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. How many Ukrainians died in a war for NATO? Well, they don't tell us. I wonder why. Or sometimes they allow the Ukrainians to give us a number, and then they promote that number as being, I don't know, God's word or something. So we have here a Polish general, yes, a general from Poland, who's going to give us that actually the Ukraine's losses are in the millions, not in the hundreds of thousands, millions. Now, since this general comes from a country that is a good country, then he must be believed. So let me share this article with you coming from Russia Today. Obviously, this piece of news works for the Russians. That's why we have it here. So, 19th of March 2024. Russia Today. Ukraine's losses, quote unquote, in the millions. Polish general. Kiev does not have the resources or manpower to continue the fight against Russia. Rashmund, I don't know if that's the way you pronounce it, Andrejchuk has said. So Andrew. Here you have, he got an iron cross here, another medal here. Okay. Ukraine's losses in the conflict with Russia should be counted, and I'm quoting, in the millions. The former chief of Polish General Staff, Rashmund Andrejchuk, has claimed, again, he claimed that Kiev is, I'm quoting, losing the war, end quote, and does not have the resources to sustain the fight against Moscow, he added. In an interview with a Polsat broadcaster on Monday, the retired general described Ukraine's battlefield situation as, and I'm quoting, very dramatic, end quote, and insisted that, and I'm quoting, there are no miracles in war. Come on, Hollywood shows us that all the time, like how the victims kill the bad dudes. I mean, Brad Pitt showed us that, didn't he? Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky's decision to replace his top general Valery Zaluzhny with Alexander Syrsky, I'm guessing a Ukrainian, with a Russian, has failed to make a significant difference, as the same issues remain for Kiev's new commander-in-chief, Andreychuk added. According to the retired general, Ukraine is suffering deficits in equipment and manpower, with losses taking their toll on its capabilities. And I'm quoting, they, the Ukrainians, are missing over 10 million people. I estimate that the losses should be counted in the millions, not in hundreds of thousands. There are no resources in this country. There is no one to fight. End quote. Well, they're going to use them, and they're going to use the Romanians, the Baltic states. Going to use you, my friends, right here. So get ready. Warm up on the sidelines. And I'm quoting, the Ukrainians are losing this war, Andreychuk stated, pointing to media reports suggesting that Kiev is running out of anti-aircraft missiles to protect itself from Russian strikes. Echoing warnings from several Western leaders in recent weeks, he called for arms production to be boosted and argued that the West should prepare for a full-scale conflict with Russia within 2 or 3 years. Russian President Putin has insisted that Moscow has no plans or interest in attacking NATO. Well, but then NATO has an interest to have a continuous war at this point. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu stated last month that Ukraine has lost more than 444,000 troops since the start of the conflict in February 2022. The hostilities have also triggered an exodus of Ukrainian refugees, with almost 6.5 million recorded worldwide according to UN data. Officials in Kiev have repeatedly complained that Western arms shipments have been inadequate. Those calls have grown louder as U.S. President Joe Biden's request to provide an additional $60 billion in aid remains stalled in Congress. No worries, they will do it. Not at 60 billion, they will do it at 50. That's my gut feeling. Again, Kiev is also mulling a new mobilization bill that will lower the minimum draft age for men. I thought we are equal. 27 to 25, with reported plans to send 500,000 new troops to the front line. Against this backdrop, the Russian military last month pushed Kiev out of a strategic poo. So, the Ukrainians have very young men to fight. I'm guessing between 18 and 27. They have a big pool of people that they can always tap in. The problem is, do you want to do that? Because remember, you still have if you think of a victory, you're going to have, you need a population. You need people to reconstruct this. Unless you're going to import some big-dicked guys to come over and your women and turn Ukraine into Ukraine. That's an option. And the Europeans already have been doing that at the orders of the specific group that likes that very much. Anyway, here is, my friends. I think I think that the Ukrainians are in the hundreds of thousands. I don't think millions died, but I don't have the hard information or data to support that, even though the general, also says, I estimate, in my estimates, so is not right here. It says, I estimate that the losses should be counted in the millions, not hundreds of thousands. There are no resources in this country. There is no one to fight. The war is over, he said. The Ukrainians are losing this war. Well, it depends what your goals are in a war. For instance, the big companies, arms manufacturing companies, are not losing the war, are winning the war. They have more orders to fulfill, supply, honor, to send more weapons. Now, you have politicians that make careers or stay in power if the war continues as it continues. It's like the politicians sometimes. Their policies create a problem, a reaction, and then guess who's coming to solve it? The same politicians. But without recognizing that the issue was in the first place created by their idiotic or planned policy. It's a tragedy what's going on over there. I'm talking about the Ukrainians and the Russians, and my pain goes towards the Russians, who unfortunately, Ukrainians, who unfortunately think, some of them are sincere in thinking that they are really fighting the evil aggressor or aggressors, Russians. This is what bothers me. It's like many others of our ancestors who fought for others' wars, thinking that they are defending their turf, their families, their nation, traditions, culture, and all that. And this is what bothers me. For me, it's very clear that the Ukrainians are not fighting for their own turf. Actually, they're used by other interests that are using other countries, including Al Capone's country, and to promote their dominance, hegemony, and control over all of us. Because remember, a tyrant doesn't really pick, I'm going to be a tyrant with you, but I'm going to be a Democrat or with you. No, egalitarian with you. No, a tyrant is a state of mind. It's an attitude. You have it, and you just I'm gonna not. If you can, and believe me, those groups can do that. They took over Europe. They took over North America. And they took over, unfortunately, the Western world, not China or India, and that's where I think or Russia. That's where I think these groups will be, in the end, eradicated by the Indians, by the Chinese, by countries that are not infiltrated by these interests or group. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.